Today I'm going to talk about whether is it possible to get to native level in English just by practicing, if it's possible to get to native level. And to answer this question, I'm going to start talking about some stories from personal experience. So I remember that when I was a child, I used to listen to the radio or CDs, lots of English music, but actually I didn't really knew the lyrics and I couldn't really sing well. And even if I was listening to those lyrics, I was exposing myself to those songs over and over again. I was not really able to understand what they were saying and I was not able to say it correctly. Even if, well, it is true that my English level was not really good, but still like when I was 19 and I started to get into music, like listen like constantly in regular basis music, I started to listen music in English, and at the beginning I didn't understand most of the lyrics, even so my level of English was decent. Yeah. So I started to check the lyrics, and when I started to check the lyrics, I start to really understand and make correctly more percentage, like 80, 90, 100%. And up to date, if I listen to a song and maybe I listen to it once or twice or three times, I can improve. But probably even if I listen an infinite amount of times, like even if I listen to that song over and over again every day, probably I'm not going to be able to say correctly all the lyrics of the song, even if I'm exposing myself to that level. So if I want to really pronounce correctly and sing correctly one song, I need to check the lyrics over and over again, different times, to get to 100% of the lyrics correct, to get the lyrics 100% right. Yeah. So it's not possible just like learning the lyrics just by listening to the song, just by exposing yourself to the song. Another example that I want to mention from my personal experience is football. So I was a very big football fan, football player. Well, not I was not a big football player, but I was playing football a lot. So I was really into football, and I used to practice a lot, but I was just like playing matches, and I've never been like working on just like how to head better, how to do better free kicks, how to throw penalties better, how to control the ball better, how to use my left foot. That I've done that a bit, my right foot. So my point is that if I was actually wanting to really improve my level in football, I reached a point in which I was not going to be able to improve it just by practicing, if that makes sense. So I needed to focus on really specific things in order to improve it, to really focus on the specific things, like for example, like how to head, how to kick the ball with the head and do it better, because for example, that I was not really good, how to dribble better. And if I was really focusing like in really specific areas and trying to improve in those areas, probably my overall level will have been significantly improved. So yeah, that's another point. And with that said, now what I want to say is that it is the same for English, right? So I know people who have been like abroad, living in the UK or in the US, Australia, whatever, like for years, and they practice a lot. But because they are always doing the same kind of practice, they are always like having the same kind of conversation with kind of the same people about kind of the same things and the same length in time. They are not really able to improve the level to a higher level, to the point that people can't think that they are native speakers. What they have to do is stop, like, I mean, obviously like a minimum of practice is necessary to improve, right? So it doesn't really matter that you try to do specific things, you forget like the general like practice, then you're not going to improve either. So if you like work on pronunciation of words and then you don't speak the language, it's very difficult that you're going to improve either. So you need to do both. So we think it's kind of the same. I feel like other people struggle with the listening, they get to a certain level, but they don't really train that much in order to understand native speakers. Also, another sticking point may be pronunciation. Like, people tend to pronounce things in a certain way with some phonemes. They don't try to improve it. But also, if they were able to practice more and actually work out on the phonemes, also they could increase massively their level. Also, for example, in idioms and expressions, I feel like it's something that is really hard to improve just by practicing. You need to really focus on learning new idioms and then using them. And yeah, so it's kind of the same. You need to focus on really specific areas and try to improve them. Because practice, although at the beginning is helpful and basically is the basis, at some point it's going to make you not improve if you don't do it in a consistent, specific, dedicated way, right? If you practice for the sake of practice without really like trying to improve in any area, you're not going to improve your overall performance or your overall skill. And that's my point with English is, yes, practice is okay and it's necessary. It's better than what most people do, because most people don't even practice. But if you want to really get to a higher level, then you need to start like working out in more specific things. And that's the point I wanted to make here. I hope that you like this episode. I hope that you find it useful. Probably this is one of the most useful videos that I've done so far. Yeah. And yeah, have a good day. See you later.